open the meeting. Do I have a meeting, do I have a motion to open the meeting?
No, you're the chair, go do it.
And
All
I'll
right.
second it.
Okay, all right, so let's say the Pledge of Allegiance, even though there isn't any flagging here, you're gonna have to.
I have
put a
my
little
pen on,
flag.
I have my little pen.
We'll open the door and we'll play, pledge to the.
Let the air in
to-
anyway.
Yep, there's a flag with the Republic, the
There it
Army
is.
of the
Yeah.
Republic.
Right here with
All
all.
right, go ahead, Frank.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's a danger.
My chair keeps going. This is because Frank put the chair here, so I know it's sabotage. All right, so, is there any public comment?
Jerry was here.
I just thought I read some of the paper with the public comments allowed and
Yes.
this organization and be able to, I've been a Lion for 14, 15 years and know what's happened over many years and all the rest. But the important thing I want to bring up is there are a lot of different ideas of what to or not to do to the Lions, always so-called the Lions laws of today anyhow. And to what to do or not to do. And all the proposals, at least to this day, have been quite expensive. That it's not likely that the townspeople would pick up the cost of a building that was not, basically wasn't costing them anything for many, many, many years. I want to make a proposal just to throw it out there as another alternative, looking at it in a financial way and a repair way. And with that in mind, the cheapest way economically, I've done a little research, not a lot, I haven't done a lot, I haven't got every single little number or anything else there, is that the Lions would be interested in retaking the building along with the town as a combination and making a bylaw, something that would suggest what you can and cannot do, so that won't be accepted anymore. And when all is said and done, yes, it will cost money, but nowhere close to the three proposals that are going right now. And if you wanna get something passed, you have to pass it by you're gonna get your report eventually to the council, so forth and so on, but if you wanna get something passed, as far as Joe Public goes, you have to have something that they think that they're getting their money's worth. Right now, and I'm sure I know a lot of you guys, so I know you've been in town a long time. You could talk to your neighbor or anybody else and you'll find that they can't even understand why they'd have to put money up for a hall that has been not a problem to them, and it actually has been a tremendous plus to the community. And my main message is economically that is a much cheaper way of going and still get what needs to be done for the most part. And that's all my message is. I just felt that if whatever you come out of it with it, or whatever you propose, or however you come at it, economics is such a part of this process. You guys can put something together that's fantastic, but if the economics says the town's not gonna take it, it's not gonna take, and right now, it's not gonna take anything that starts at $500,000 or more, for all intents and purposes. Something like this, what I'm talking about, again, like Kathy, I said, I didn't pick the numbers, I've been on, would be substantially less and accomplish basically the same thing. The town manager made a statement, he visited us at the Lions 2 weeks ago, and one of the statements was, he wants to open it up. Well, my comment to that is the Lions did nothing but open it up. We had parties there, we had birthdays there, we had anniversaries there, we had dances there, I go on and on and on. So we did open it up to the public, plus we rented out space, of course, to help finance what we have to as a non-profit organization. So I think this all should be taken into consideration when you guys make your, whatever your proposal is, whatever your outcome of what you're getting together. It's fantastic you guys are getting together to try to resolve something that is this moment, as I sit here in front of some very great people that I like, whatever that means, I don't know what that means. But,
Nice thought.
the fact of the matter is, financially
Make sure we
wise,
put
there's
some
not
of
much
this.
that we go through when you're talking the kind of
We're
numbers
not
that have
even
been in the past talked about. I don't know what you guys, at what point yet, but I thought, throw this into the pot, so to speak. And if economically we can accomplish getting what has to be done there, and it doesn't overburden the Lions report, it's portion in, whatever that would be, and the town puts its portion in, whatever that would be. No matter what, the portions that are, the amounts that are involved will be nowhere close that are, of what has been proposed and is looked at, and the accomplishment over the 50 years that the Lions have been at it, goes without saying. We've given almost over $250,000 to scholarships alone every year, $6,000. But we work for that to be a nonprofit and get things to get the dances and things like that. So you've got an organization that will continue to support the public, and you've got a situation where something has to be done. I don't disagree with that, but if it's like the old thing, you have Bank A, Bank B, and Bank C. Bank A gives you simple interest, Bank B gives you compounded monthly, and Bank C gives you compounded daily. Which bank are you gonna go with? Right? I mean, logically, which bank are you gonna go with your money? You're certainly gonna go to C because you're gonna get a lot more of a return for your money at a less cost. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to make sure I can give this information and make sure all things are considered and.
Have you actually got any sort of rough ballpark figures around the numbers?
No,
that you're
like I
thinking
was
of?
telling you, I have not made, I've got a few, but then they don't make anything of anything. It's not enough. I
Okay.
need a lot more information to be able, I can safely say, because we have been taking care of buildings for years, paying for 95% of anything going on in that building. Anything from painting to putting a new kitchen in to a handicap bathroom in and all that. We took care of all those things over the years. With that in mind, we'd then be responsible probably for very similar things as time went on, and a town would, I don't know the economics of it as far as the town and Alliance or something like that getting together. But it should very well be considered because of the economics of it, and proven without a question, as John just passed paper around, if you look at it, get some ideas what we've done. And nobody gets a penny, zero. It all goes to helping Londonderry, New Hampshire, and Dairy Kitchen, and places like that, the places up in Manchester. We give out thousands of dollars, but we have to get that money. And obviously, we have to rent the space and all that kind of do that. And that can be taken care of. But anyhow, I don't want to bore you for the rest of the time.
Okay, so.
Take that, what I'm saying is just take that into consideration.
Thank you.
you.
So is there any further public comment, or are we done with
I
public
have a
comment?
question.
Okay,
Is the Lions organization behind that kind of idea?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yes, that's your question, yeah.
okay.
Thank
Are we
you.
done?
Yep.
All right.
Any
Thank
other-
you,
guys
Jerry,
are all
thank
set?
you.
Kathy, can I-
I had the same
Can I
question.
go get my coffee now?
Well, yes, you can go get your
Good,
coffee,
thank you.
you're done,
You've
thank you.
always been
I
nice
had
like
a-
that,
I had a
always.
question.
Bring me back one too, Terry.
Yeah, I would.
And you're just an
You do
alternate,
it to
you're
me
not
all the
part
time,
of
which
the
is
meeting
good.
until
I can
you-
make I can ask.
No.
If
Have a good
alternates
evening,
can
all.
participate in the
Chair can
meeting.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Planning
No.
board alternates can participate in meetings. They
The
just
chair
can't
has no-
vote on anything.
All right, Ian, go ahead.
He's
I'm
gone
gonna-
now.
All right, we're done.
Can
Frank?
I speak under comments and not as a board member?
Yes,
All right, I'm ready.
but keep it short,
Keep it what?
not as long as Jerry's.
It could end up that way. I was rather disappointed in the last couple of weeks since our meeting 2 weeks ago to see all this stuff in the paper. I think it was absolutely unnecessary and childish. If people would understand that we are a committee, we have things to accomplish, and by putting something in the news and then getting a retraction the next week is crazy.
And why
It's-
wasn't
it's
it
great.
discussed
Well, it shouldn't have
here?
been said at that
Wait a
meeting.
wait a second, Ann, I'm gonna give you plenty of time.
Fine.
Well, I'll give her plenty of time.
There
Quite
is-
frankly, I don't even know what you're talking about, because I don't even read the
Okay,
thing.
well, I want you to know that there's more in the public. I'm saying it because I happen to be here and I'm man enough to come to the public.
And Frank, I agree with you 100%. I think
Okay.
it's
very disappointing what was in the paper. And
I don't even
Let-
know
let-
what was
let
in
me-
the
Let me
paper,
just, let me
because I
just
don't
say
care.
it this way. My belief
Did we scare you?
is that if there was any discussion about what may have been said, it should have come to our meeting. Not put that things in the paper so people can get their own ideas, and everybody knows if you
I'm
say
here.
one thing,
I'm at the meeting.
But why did it
you
end
weren't
up?
at the other meeting.
Because I was at Northside Cancer Center getting diagnosed for cancer. I have to go back in my
If you want,
another
if you want to
round.
holler at me, go back to your center.
Come on,
okay?
stop.
I
Ann, if
didn't,
you
I didn't
can't
come here to
conduct
answer
yourself-
you.
And
I'm-
Frank, if you guys can't be civil here, I'm shutting it down immediately.
I'm civil. I wasn't hollering, she was.
I think
Excuse
Kathy
me?
that
You're
Frank
saying
is
I should have
speaking
come
for
to that
many
meeting?
people in the
I
community.
told you why I wasn't
Okay,
there.
I don't have a problem,
But you don't have
and,
to scream
but
at
I
me.
don't wanna get into personal stuff here.
That's exactly what I'm saying
You're
here.
getting into
That,
it.
that doesn't need to happen. If we could have discussed it, and the people
Clarified what took place.
clarify what took place is a good way to put it. And in seeing some of it, I agree with you, Ann. So there's no need of you screaming at me. There's some things that a lot of us weren't aware of earlier. So it all happened the day after our meeting, and then here it comes in the paper. If we don't know it,
First.
then we can't give an answer to it.
Well, I'm just saying, things were said during the meeting, your last.
And
that's-
just as a point, nobody in this room knew that there was a letter from the town manager that gave you permission to take the wood.
Well, don't
and-
call us, you know.
Excuse me, let me finish, please.
Sure, go ahead.
I have spoken to Linda Gray at the Historic Society numerous times over all of this. She does, it's wood, and she wants the building preserved.
She doesn't have
That's-
the right to say that.
Okay, that's you to take up with the Historic Society.
Oh, believe me,
What?
I'm curator,
You
and I'm
got-
the one that's
okay,
responsible
okay.
for those beams.
Okay, then you stay responsible for those beams. The letter was given by Kevin Smith, they belong to the Historic Society. This is a meeting about saving the building over there, not about your beams. I'm going to end discussion on this now. And we are going to get back to what the charge is of this committee, instead of acting like a bunch of savages.
I think you owe an
Excuse my
apology.
language. I don't owe you any apology. You owe me one too.
I do
Okay?
not.
We're fine. We're done. I'm done. And Ann, as the chair, if you cannot pull yourself together, I will go into recess until you can.
Kathy, I'm fine.
Okay.
I just don't, somebody.
We're in recess
like,
for 5 minutes.
So, tell
We're-
somebody,
we're-
tell
we're
me
in
I should have
recess.
been there.
Well, I don't have to that.
Do we turn this off if we're in recess?
Yeah.
I am not gonna have this committee go down. I'm not gonna have this committee go down this path.
I've been bringing this binder.
And you could have We are back in session of the Reverend Morrison Meeting House Committee, and we are back on the agenda, and we're gonna discuss old business. Since Derek's not here, Larry, I imagine you're gonna give us your review on the subcommittee, the codes. I know last time you had mentioned that there was an issue with getting someone to be
Yeah,
able to get.
I don't have an update on that. You know, I haven't communicated with Derek. I know that he had messages in, and Sherry, I think you were gonna follow up to see.
Yeah, and I know that he will be very interested with Kathy to discuss all of this. I'm not sure, is Derek go to town or?
Is he in the master's plan, Stuart, or is he on vacation? Cause I know he
I
went
haven't
to
heard
Alaska,
anything yet, yes. Oh, that's right too.
but I didn't know how long he was gone.
That's
I
could
thought he
be
was gonna
too.
be back. I had
Yeah.
every expectation. that he would
My
be this
concern,
morning.
Sherry, is if there is anything you can do to assist Larry and Derek to getting into that building. As I said, there's only
yes.
4 meetings left before we
Right,
have to
yeah.
come up with a plan. That's not a lot of time.
And Nick, as I mentioned in the last meeting, he's more than willing if you wanted another set of eyes on it. Our building inspector, if you don't want that, but we can get in there when you both want to be in
Well,
there.
I think what we agreed on the last meeting, and I appreciate, you know,
Yeah.
your help with facilitating this, but we wanted to do a walkthrough with the building inspector.
Good, good. And he's
Um,
ready when we are, so.
To, first of all, determine, now that it's under the direct management of the town of Londonderry,
Right.
it brings into consideration other factors, like, is it up to code for public occupation, even under 100
Absolutely.
people?
I mean,
So we,
yeah,
you know, the
that's
plan was
the
to
key.
do the walkthrough,
Good.
get his opinion on what absolutely needs to be addressed at a bare minimum in order for us to, you know, meet code requirements, to make that available
And
to the public.
he's in 100%, which won't cost. But the only thing is, do you wanna do this next week, or?
well, I think you need to get with
Okay.
Larry and Derek and
All
get
right.
them in, because you guys have almost been trying for a month to get in there, right?
I don't know.
Because it was at the last meeting, you were discussing it, so it's
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's probably been a good 2 to 3 weeks, and
Okay.
they need to get us this information so we can formulate
Alright.
the plan. So
Yeah.
if there's any way you could escalate this,
Absolutely,
that
sure,
they
I'll
get
talk
that.
to Nick, because I've talked to Nick twice, but just quickly that, and he's in to help in any way he can, but I didn't realize that we wanted to set something up, so I'll take care of that tomorrow,
Okay,
no
thank
worries
you.
at all. And perhaps next week, we'll get in touch with Derek, and if it works for us, Larry, for
Yeah.
me, any day is okay.
Yeah, we'll just
so.
have to coordinate. Karen,
Perfect,
and
okay,
others.
we'll make that happen next
So-
week.
Great.
Good.
Larry,
Thank
you
you.
had a sheet that you handed out to everybody,
Um,
or you haven't handed out yet?
This is well, the other thing that we discussed last week, you had tasked us with, coming back with a list of items that we thought were critical to address, in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So I put something together. We can introduce this at the right time, but that's what I have to share with.
Okay,
with you.
great.
So, you know, I think you're gonna probably approve minutes from
Right.
all that. So whenever we
Right.
get to, the new business, I can circulate this.
The discussion, with the subcommittee foundation and floor, Ann, I know you're on that, did you have any chance to reach out to people doing the Presbyterian Church to come over and give us any ideas?
No, but what I do have is an assessment map that was done by Preservation Timber Frame on the Reverend Morrison House parts. And it gives a step-by-step inventory of exactly what was needed to go through that, with approximate costs for each segment of the rebuild, which would be similar to taking an assessment of the building and determining the costs of different areas for restoration. I'm talking about like the floor and looking up in the attic to make sure that's secure too, because if we just look at the floor, there might be other issues with the timber frame we have to look at if we want to look long term. We're looking for a fix that not just lasts another 10 years, but 200 years.
Okay.
We gotta look holistically, really,
Well, I
and
would
just
like
get
that
assessment.
information shared with the entire committee then, that what
Okay.
you have, this
Well,
report, that
would-
we can see this.
Well, I
Any
have,
discussion on Ann's report, like what Ann said, that she's worked with this timber frame company And,
Is it a report that we could scan and we could email it to everyone to review, or?
I also have what they did for the First Parish Church.
well, that's a little
This
out
is-
of our proposal.
This is part of the assessment. This is part of it. It shows you all the timber frame beams are within the walls until you
It's
know.
called,
What?
what's it called? Scanning. LiDAR scanning? That's what but I'll talk more to that once we get there. That is done by an architecture firm. And we
That's
have not,
preservation timber frame
right,
does
and
this.
we have not even addressed going to that kind of level. We don't even have funds for that kind of level. That would be the next step, and that's what this committee is all about determining.
Okay, no,
So-
that's fine.
So
I thought
let's,
you might want to
and I
understand
think
what
that's,
timber frame, a preservation timber frame is capable of doing
okay.
in this.
Well,
But we need somebody to reach out to them and see what they're willing to do for us, for free, or for
They
a small
don't
fee.
do it for free.
Okay, so we need an idea of what the fee is to make a decision if we wanna spend that kind of money for a document like that.
I think we
It
have to
just can't
stay
be-
focused. In
Right.
6 weeks, what's gonna open up the building?
We have 4 meetings.
4 weeks. We have to,
Okay.
what's gonna open that building?
And I love what they did on the parish church, but it's completely a different beast from the town. Okay, so, do we have any comments on what Ian added?
I do. I think that the information, the cost information that you have would be valuable to share, so if we can get that scanned and circulated, I think that
Do you
would
want
be
me
a
to
good
scan
thing.
Well, it's an assessment of the Reverend Morrison house that we have
Okay,
in
so,
our.
oh, it's
The
the
actual
house.
What I want
Yeah.
It's the house, it's
Yeah.
not the
Wait.
town,
Not this, no.
not this one.
This
Okay,
is
so
just
that'll
showing
be-
And I
the-
just wanna show you
steps
the
that you can
steps
go
they
through to
took
get it done.
to get
Right.
it done and the costs associated for us to have it done.
And I don't
So
know
you
if
can get
that-
an
I don't
idea
know
if
if
you wanna
that's
go through that
necessary.
process with this building.
Well, that would be good, useful information to have. However,
Right,
we have 6 weeks to deliver
I
on
totally
our
understand.
charge. And-
For a nay or yay.
And as I have information that I'll share, with everybody at the appropriate time tonight, but this is the beginning of the process, from my perspective, this phase 1 focus.
Phase 1.
And what we need to, and there's a reason for doing it between now and October, because there may be some money available to us that we can leverage, but we need to act on it quickly. And phase 2 and phase 3 and the long vision for what's gonna happen to this building are very important, but we can't deal with that in the next 6 weeks. We're like really under a lot of time pressure to define the elements that need to be addressed in the short term.
Open the building.
Get out to bid so that we have some,
Good
live
facts.
cost estimates in terms of what it's gonna take. Because we're gonna have to go before the town council.
On the 15th or 16th? I
Yeah, in mid-September, we have to report in terms of where we are with this process. So I think that's important to consider after we get this phase 1 concern addressed.
Correct.
And to start, and there'll be another committee, and my understanding is that the committee will morph, or there'll be a new committee to look at the longer term picture for that building.
Yeah, once we get phase 1 accomplished, then at that point, we'll probably be recommending where we should go in phase 2.
Right.
When phase 1 will open it up, phase 2 is going to help, and that cost is gonna be X amount, whatever it may be. But yes, that's exactly where we're going, at least that's where we're supposed to be going.
Right.
Okay, so the document I gave all of you was my charge to try to find out structurally and everything, which is what I'm working on. I had,
Where did we get that one?
Tonight?
so I, as my charge, I wrote these kind of like minutes
Very nice.
so that they can easily go in. I contacted vendors that I have worked with and vendors that were recommended to me. We went in and looked at the building. The problem is, no one's sure of the sill condition, and that's the big concern as to keeping the building structural. the crawl space is too small to get underneath there to get viable pictures of the sills where they are now, not since when the floor got opened up. I do have a possibility of somebody that might be willing to help us. I also contacted a very large construction firm that I'm friends with, and they might work with us. It's like LiDAR scanning, and they can take these cameras now and look and give us a 3D rendering of what's underneath it, what the sill conditions are in, what the structural conditions are in, everything. So I'm pursuing that, if you think that's a good way for us to go, because the key is the sills. And we've got to know. Now, the team I was out with was Bob Slater, Steve, myself, Chad, and Stan Wiles. They both have been in the business of restoring and not lifting, raising buildings for over 45 years. It's been in the family. It's Granite State. What is it? Granite Building Movers. They have a lot of customers in the Back Bay. They're used to dealing with the effects of the water. So when I did mention the walking and the concern and the building moving and all this other stuff, when the old man was sitting at the table looking at it in the Lions Hall, because we did get access to the Lions Hall, him and his son were both very concerned because the floor is kind of separating a little bit in the corners, and they're concerned that by taking out all the support underneath the building, like a house, that there's no pressure.
Yep.
And the sides are going to come in because there's nothing keeping them up. So after that discussion, I called and asked if we could cut some holes in the floor, and I was completely unwilling to work with us was David Pauly. Didn't want anything to do with it. So we could get in to look at the sills. So I was like, fine, I'll find another way. During this discussion, and I won't get into the details because we really don't know, they are in this report. We really don't know the condition of the sills. But the sills, that building cannot be lifted because it's on too much ledge. If we did lift it, it would be cost, and it would have to go through the walls. They can't get underneath. And they're concerned that because so much of the support system on the floor was taken out, or cut up, that they couldn't lift it even from the ground up. So lifting
It's not.
is not viable at that. Ann, can I finish? You've
Yeah,
been
sure.
allowed
I
to
have
talk
a
the whole
question
meeting.
when you're
Thank
done.
you.
Thanks.
So that is an out. We can't do that.
Good,
We can't
eliminate
lift.
one.
Right.
Good.
But because of the techniques and everything they use, they could go around once we see, maybe all the sills aren't bad, maybe some of them are bad, they can jack the building just enough to get sills in there and go around and repair that whole thing. I think that's something very important for phase one, because if the sills are protected, they're in with pressure treated or whatever they use, they're not gonna rot away, and they're gonna keep that building up for 100 years. So, or till, I don't know, 500 years, because it's standing. One of the things that Chad did was he went around the building and he said one of the key telltale signs of a building in distress is the roof is sagging. And if you look at these pictures, the roof line is straight and square to the earth. So they believe the sills, there's probably sills down there that are still viable. We wouldn't have to repair all of them, but they can't make that determination until they can get in and see it. The other thing was, Bob Slater was there. He was the first person that had the guts to go underneath there. He said there's a lot of ledge under there. I think some of the floor towards the stage is actually like inches from ledge. So we won't be able to determine that either until somebody can physically get under there, or we do this, 3D scope of it. there is a method. I can't get into it because I don't really understand it, but there was a method to the madness to get to pour a slab that if the sills are fixed and they get everything figured out, that the willingness to pour a slab in there and land the building on a slab.
You mean
So it would be a-
flowable fill?
Yep, and all of that stuff. There's more to it than that. And I can't speak to it because I'm not an engineer, but these guys all figured it out. A method, but we got to figure out where the sills are first. The next concern that was brought up was that the original clapboard is still on the building, but you guys covered it with vinyl siding. And nobody knows how much rots on the side of the building because of the water and the moisture. So this method of the, so we need to check that out. So after, if you can read through my whole report, but
Thank you for taking the time to do this. This is
but
helpful.
I think that, structurally is the key. We can't put money into this building unless we can save it structurally. And to Jerry's point, I thank him for coming, but this is bigger than just, let everybody back in. We can't let everybody back in now because we don't know what condition that building's in. I mean, the first renovations, I don't know where the error was made, but they could have done more destruction to that building than we even know, and we gotta find that out. I mean, taking out those old beams, if that was the case, cut out, and from the pictures I've seen, there was only dimensional lumber put in there, no LVLs, no big support beams for it to rest on. That's a serious issue that we have to know is fixed before we put people in that building.
So they're, this is excellent. So are they willing to work with us to do that?
Yes.
This, whatever, for lack of a term, the scan, the 3D modeling and things
Well,
of
it's
this kind?
not them. I know another larger company that I was in contact with today, and they are one of the biggest contractors in the state. And their person that I have the connection with is gonna talk to her staff tomorrow and see if there's a willingness for them to come down, because I really think if we can get this I have a person here in town that's willing to try to get under there with a drone. And so I was like, we'll see if that works. But
With a what?
A drone?
like a drone. But I think, because, and take shoots of the sills so we could get an idea. Because it's really difficult. Like I said, you can't even get the whole way in the building. And the crawl space is insane. But if we can get the sills determined, and if they look good, and we only have to repair a handful of those, I think we can really get the building open in phase 1 with this decent plan and get it done quickly. But here's the key. The one thing you will take away from this, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, all of us have lives and we would really need a general contractor, because I don't have time to sit there with contract people all day long and direct them. And neither, I don't think most of us do. So that would be the key. We'd need somebody to be the general contractor of the whole project.
Could the building inspector be
I
part
don't
of
think,
it?
and if you read my report, I don't think the town is the appropriate
Okay.
individuals, because first of all, we gave them the building the first time and it didn't come out very well. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that to be mean, but it was not handled, and I don't think anybody has the they don't have the technical knowledge of what these, this is not, a post
Not
and
your
beam.
standard.
This is timber and frame, and it's a much, much different beast. So I don't think David and Personally, I don't want David Wally involved because I think his goal is to get it torn down. He does not seem to have any interest in working with this committee at all.
I'm wondering, when we meet with Nick, I just sent him a text, so hopefully we'll arrange that for next week, unless there's something with Derek that we're not aware of. But we can also like bring that forth to Nick and just kind of get, you know, his thoughts on, would he know someone, you know, kind of get his scope on it. So we'll just have to make that happen next week.
Okay, so that's my report.
I understand Nick's been told that he can't go into the building. That's his,
Well, we'll work on that too then.
I don't think Nick should go under the building at this
Oh,
point.
under the building, I'm sorry, Frank, I thought you said
I
in
don't
the
think- I
building.
think
Oh,
at
no,
this
I
point-
just in kind of around, yeah, no, I agree that, I don't, yeah, for safety and all too.
And I'm not trying to, I know Nick has done some restoration, but this is a whole different,
Yeah.
this is a whole different baby. This is a big ask for the town staff to
Kath,
try to come up with this.
Sorry to interrupt, but you had asked me to, as something for me to look into with our town manager, if we have a sum that we need to get things moving forward, would there be monies available? And he said he believes, depending on the amount, that there would be, but the final decision would have to be brought to the council for their approval, and they would have the final say. There's still ARPA money available, but the council would have the
So I
final say.
guess since I'm moving my direction right now, I would like to get the consensus of the committee. If the company, how much do we wanna spend to find out, like, if the sills are good? Like,
Well, I personally can't answer that question, but I think it'd be important to understand what this high-tech scan and assessment of the,
if you go online, you can look at, I think it's
LiDAR, it's
LIDAR,
LIDAR.
LIDAR scanning, and it's the new construction industry's, go-to device.
but I think it'd be important, you know, this is leading up, and hopefully will lead up quickly to a bidding process. And so it seems to me that we should at least look into an estimate or a proposal
I
on
agree.
what it would cost to do that.
And
I
what I
agree.
like about it is it's gonna give us the entire structure. It's kind of, I guess, I don't know but it'll be infrared going in there, you know, like the fire department looks
Right.
at your walls to see if there's heat in the walls. They have that equipment when they're doing a fire or something. It's gonna give us that scope, and it is gonna scope out the floor. The thing that I think is gonna be the most interesting, my personal thing, is scoping out how much ledge is down there, and because I've heard reports that there's only 8 inches, and I've heard there's only reports there's 6 inches, because nobody knows.
Yeah.
And this will give us an idea. I think we can't go to the public and ask them to support this thing if we don't even know it's gonna stand.
Yeah.
So that 5 years from now, we're back where we are.
We don't have any idea, like, is it a one day that they come in and they do?
I have no idea,
We're
I
not
just,
sure.
I found out about the technology today when I was talking to the person at the construction thing, and they're gonna get back to me. And I asked them what would be the price to have them come on site for the day, or whatever the hours to do this. If you could get me a price, and they would then have their structural engineer review it.
What's the, what exactly is it cost, or does it, hello? What exactly is it called, Kathy? Is
LID, what was it, DARE,
Yes.
scanning. LiDAR, L,
DAR.
capital L, small I, DARE, I think.
I don't think there's
I
an
think
end
it's
in.
usually all capitalized, I think.
Yeah.
Or is it all, okay, you
Yeah,
can
and
search
OEM,
Google
yeah.
and it'll come up,
LIDARE?
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And
I've
Kathy,
never met it used in a building like that.
Well-
It's normally used for survey of landscaping and things like that.
No, I
It'll
would
look through
look
the
'em up.
trees.
I would look them up, most of your major contractors are using them now for their buildings.
Yeah, my concern
It's
is
not about
how is it
landscape.
penetrating? I know a lot about lasers.
Yeah, I don't know any of that, I didn't get into it, I
Yeah.
was given this suggestion, and I said, thank you very much, because I thought that was very kind of the
Yeah.
company to offer to see if they could do that. I didn't worry about the technology, because when I explained the situation to them, they gave me a pretty good explanation, and they're a pretty reputable company in New Hampshire, so I
Yeah.
took their word
Yeah, I'm
for it.
just going to say technically, you use it normally to look through things like foliage.
Well,
Kath, do you think that if you reached out to the company tomorrow or through your contact, that they could give us, like, when could they come out?
I'm
And
hoping
then
I
that's
could speak to them
Okay,
tomorrow.
good, because that would
They've been
be
very receptive,
wonderful.
and,
And maybe a guesstimate on, I mean, you know,
I
approximation.
don't think, I would say that, knowing the company that I'm talking to, I don't think they'd be offering this to us if we were just gonna be looking at foliage. So,
No, they must be using a laser with a frequency that will penetrate.
I don't
Buildings.
really care about the details,
Yeah.
just as long as they get me the answer.
And Kath, do we think with the, going to the council, does the council just need our phases of what our plan is to get it open, or do we have to have a plan that will allow it to be opened, like in the immediate future after that
Well,
date?
I think that, and I want everybody to chime in after I'm done, because I want everybody's opinion on this. I think that going to the council with, if we can get just the subcommittee's questions answered, I don't know if we would be able to get bids in time, but it would show that we're making progress and that we have a plan. And that's why, David, and I don't mean to shut you down, we only have 4 more meetings.
Oh, I know, I've been
So we
worried
can't
about
worry
time since
about-
we started.
We can't worry about what kind of laser they're using.
Oh,
You know, so that's why the urgency is here, is we've gotta come up with an answer. And, I think what your point is, we go to the town, we say, we think we have a method to the madness, and by getting the plans and then knowing if the sills are good and moving forward, and all that other stuff will fall in place. Because then we know the building's structurally sound and we can move ahead. And we kinda know what the bare minimum is. And if we do find a general contractor, so to speak, that's very familiar with this stuff, they'll phase it for us.
Right. But then it will have to go to ballot.
Correct, but they will be able to say, this is the bare minimum we need to do, here's what you need to get bid. This is what you should do in your second phase, and this is what you should do in your third phase, and this is what you should do in the whole phase, if you wanna do it as one big lump sum.
Sherry,
Is-
go ahead, Frank, I'm sorry.
Isn't Derek a structural
Contractor,
engineer?
yeah.
Contractor?
I think he works for the company, I don't think he's his own. I think
I
he's a
guess what
project
I'm- I guess-
manager, and I don't,
Okay.
and I don't think, I don't think without him being here, asking if this is a project that he wants to be the CM, the
What-
construction
Okay,
manager.
what I'm asking you is, you get in touch with him from time to time. I know he's away, and you know, that's cool. But is that something you could ask him if he would,
We can talk about it, Larry, next week
in
with him.
any way, be the general manager for this project, if we get that thing done, if we get it out?
Once we get it.
I just worry that that's putting an awful lot of responsibility on him.
And I'm
Because of his
not
own
talking
personal
about,
job.
I'm not talking about not paying him. I'm talking about having a general manager. We're gonna have to pay a general manager no
Manager
matter
anyways.
whoever it is.
And if that's something he's willing to take on, I don't
That-
have any problem with that.
Okay,
So we'll
that's-
discuss
that's what
that,
I'm
Larry,
asking you.
next week with
Let's-
him. We can
Can
mention
we
that.
at least ask him?
Right,
Yeah, we
but
can.
my concern is, and I say that in this report, that I don't think any of us wanna give up that much time.
Don't wanna give up
that much of our
But he
personal
would
time.
be our key, Frank,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
right.
I think we should run it by him.
I do
It's
too.
a bus, that's what I mean.
Yeah, my understanding of what he's doing professionally right now is he's the director of a medical device company, responsible for operations and facilities. So when they've expanded their business, they built, they did new construction. He's got a full-time job working for this medical device company. He's not a contractor or, taking on external jobs, but he has done project management when they needed to build a new building
Facility,
or,
right, yeah.
retrofit an existing facility. So I think he's got good oversight capability, but
Yeah.
I don't think he'd have I'm guessing, but we'll run it by him
Yep,
and see what he says. But
absolutely.
I'm not sure he'd have the time or the permission from the
Okay.
company.
I just thought that,
I agree, I think I was
The other
thinking the
thing
same
is,
thing.
the other thing that we need to take into consideration is, if we go with somebody like Derek, who's the liability if something goes wrong? If we hire somebody and it's not done right. That's why you would look for this outside with insurance, and that's just a food for thought.
yeah, well, Brent would probably have to part of his pay his insurance. But anyway, I agree. I think we need to run it by him and let him tell us that he can't do it, or he won't do it, or either
Doesn't
way.
have the yeah, okay.
But just,
Larry, you had something too.
Well,
I'm
you were
sorry,
asking
Frank.
the question,
Sorry
in
to
terms of
interrupt you.
what the end deliverable is.
Yeah,
And I think in the last meeting, we had discussed getting in front of the town council
I think
with an
that's a good
update
idea,
sometime
yeah.
in September.
Right,
And
they're
I
only
think-
having one meeting, Cameron told me today, September 16th.
Which is cutting it close.
They're only
Anyway,
having one
my
meeting.
thought was if we could at least give him an interim report, say this is where we are with the process, and make sure that we're not totally out of,
right,
off base.
clarify exactly what the, yeah.
So, but if it's the 16th,
Yeah.
that doesn't give us a lot of time.
No, less than a month.
But I suppose we could, I don't know whether we could circulate just a document that says this is what's been going on.
Right,
Well, I think if you get in with Nick, what I found out, if I can get information from the construction company, we would have a pretty good presentation for you and Derek to give to the council
On the 16th,
on the 16th.
okay.
Because we probably would hopefully know if the sills are good, which would be the key. You would have walked the building with Nick and figured out all of that, right? What we were looking at, the electrical, right, and that kind of things. I think we would be able to come in with a decent enough plan to the council on the 16th.
On a preliminary basis, and
yeah.
then come back with a final.
I think, because I think the key is, I think what everybody is very concerned about, I feel, is the structural condition of the building. And I might have said 10 years ago the building was great, but I don't know what the condition of the building is since they took the floor out, because we don't know what's happening in there.
underneath. My only fear with this, and that's why I asked that question, is that I wish there was a way we could tap into the ARPA money that's available. My fear is that we come up with all this, we bring it to the voters,
And it's
and they're
gone.
gonna shoot it down. I'd rather not bring it to the voters if there's a way that we can do that, as much as like raising money, ARPA money, because that's my fear, that we get to March, and there's, especially the way our economy's going, there's a very good chance that we love the building, and but that it's going to get shot down because and then what happens?
So Sherry, to your knowledge, when does the ARPA funding expire?
I
It's
thought it was
a
the end
user
of
to lose
October,
it.
right?
Yeah,
If we
it's
use it,
coming
we'll lose
up. It's coming up. I think that he needs to have a plan for it. It could be October. I was thinking the December, but it's coming up. Is
Yeah,
the
I
bottom
know it's
line.
this year, but
Yeah.
if we could,
Account
if
for it.
we could maybe present our top things to get it fixed, let's say.
Right, with the money available,
Well-
and then go for the bigger, like, if we have to bring it to.
I mean,
I don't know if it gets shut down if we put it in steps, and that's, I think, what they asked us to do in the first place.
You mean
know,
by the
get-
voters, Frank?
yeah.
By the voters?
I think, if it's gonna cost us, and I'm only gonna use rough figures, if it's gonna cost $30,000 to open the door, okay, now we've got.
Right, that's
here-
kind of.
Here we are.
Yeah,
We got $30,000, we're gonna open up the doors, because we're gonna fix this, and this, and that's what the
and this is the
30,000 is
timeline, yeah,
gonna cover.
yeah,
And then, once we get in there with the first phase, then either us or a new committee will get together and start at phase 2, because we're gonna give them the lead into the second phase, and they can do what
Right,
they have to
yeah.
do. And again, putting it in by parts, I don't think the voters will push it around. If you go in there and ask for $3.5 million, you're done.
yeah. Just on a side note, a resident reached out and said that we are not on TV. that
We are
not-
never on TV, it's
Well, we
taped.
tried, but I asked her
No,
to
we're
double.
filming,
No,
no,
but
we
she's-
don't go on
she-
down, we're not on TV.
It's
This is a
gonna be
recorded
recorded,
live.
right,
Right,
oh, I'll
it's
let them know,
recorded
that's
live.
right, that's
We
it, but we
can't,
should
and
be
that would have been
recording.
done even, and so
Right,
the general
yes.
public knows in future,
Good, yeah.
we're never going to
Be live, right,
We're always recorded,
thank you.
even if we're in the Moose Hill.
Hmm.
So here's
Yeah.
where I am as the chair. I'm going to move item 4 on the agenda because we're really into item 5 now, the discussion. So we'll do the minutes after we finish item, because we're talking about our plan of action moving ahead, we're talking about the phases and everything. So we'll just approve the minutes right before we adjourn.
Okay.
So let's keep going with the discussion, so.
Okay. I agree with the phased approach, but what worries me is the cost. I don't think you'll be able to open that building without fixing the floor. And I think that is
Absolutely.
going to be an expensive proposition.
That's,
I look at it this way, we're gonna have to open up the floor anyways, no matter what. We
Right.
can't, no matter what happens, that floor has to be replaced.
Right,
We don't know what is down there,
I have pictures.
Actually, we do to some extent. It's in Anne's pictures.
but we don't
We don't know the
know the
condition of it
condition
now.
now.
Right.
How long ago was that floor put in? A lot
That was
can
about
happen.
10 years.
Right,
Well,
a
no.
lot can happen
Yeah,
in 10 years.
10 years.
So I'd like to get a newer assessment. And, me personally, I would like, 10 years, a lot can happen in 10 years in an old house. So, I think that we're gonna have to, the floor is failing, no matter what, that floor has to get replaced, period. It cannot open up in the condition that floor is. And, the plan of action that was being discussed is not as, I think it's doable. I think it's gonna surprise us how doable that solution is if the sills and, but the area that I think everybody's very, very concerned on is the structural soundness, and until we find out
Hmm.
if that structure is in good shape, because if we find out we replace the sills and then we gotta pull down everything and do all the walls and do all the outside,
Yeah.
you know, we're talking some pretty good money there.
in time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm saying, we gotta start, unfortunately, we gotta start from the bottom up in this case.
Yeah.
Kathy, I think it might be a good time to get this
Yep.
circulated. So you gave us an action item in our last meeting, if you could pass it around, David, thank you. To come up with a list of things that we need to address, or you asked us individually to come up with a list of the things that we think need to be taken care of in order to get the doors open again. So what I'm passing around, and one of the things I had suggested was that we create a matrix that shows the construction components in terms of what we think needs to be done to get things open again, have some cost estimates, which we're gonna go out to proposal for, but also map it against potential uses for the building, because that's part of our charge. That not only what is it gonna take to reopen it, but how is it gonna be used, so that we can justify the expenditure in terms of utilization. So what you guys are looking at is basically a spreadsheet I put together. I listed the things in, under project description that I think are probably necessary to get the building open again. You guys may have different, elements that we should be considering. This is phase one, I didn't get to phase two or phase three. And I just prioritized them in terms of whether they're a must-have or whether they're a nice-to-have. And then we can discuss the potential uses. But the things that I thought were important to address in order to get the building open again and useful is to repair, replace, reinforce the main floor. Number two, secure and seal the foundation, addressing any drainage issues that are gonna impact that. Install ADA compliant building access and egress, meaning the doors coming in and out for the first floor interior first floor interior doorways, because we're only concentrating on getting the first floor done. So if there are any passageway issues in terms of ADA compliance, we need to know about those. Install or upgrade a 4-season interior exterior ADA compliant handicap access ramp. And what I mean by that is to come up with a low maintenance solution. There's already an access ramp coming into the building.
Yes.
If that can be if that needs to be upgraded and can be used to get us compliant, that's a win.
Right.
If it isn't and we have to do something outside the building, one of the things I've seen that appealed to me was, I've seen rampways, mostly used in residential homes, that they're metal platform that are open below. I mean, they've got ovals and it's like a grid or whatever, so that any liquid that lands on them goes through the rampway. And I don't know whether that meets commercial standards or whether for a public building we can't use something like that. But in terms of maintenance and avoiding ice buildup in the wintertime and, potentially slippery surfaces, I thought that would be a good way to go. One of the things that I kept coming back to in one of the reports that was done was the potential for having hazardous building materials like lead paint. Throughout. And so part of what, I don't think we can accomplish anything with an inspection, but one of the things we may want to consider is to have somebody come in for the first floor at least and understand whether there's any hazardous materials that we should be addressing before the town opens it up to the public again. And then any other requirements that come out of the inspection we need to address to bring us up to code. Lower priority is to, convert the kitchen to a food service only facility, meaning there's countertops in there, adequate power so that if somebody wants to, put some sort of a heating tray or make a coffee maker or something like that, they can handle the load, but not accommodate any food preparation that can't be done with the existing, stove and refrigerator, but I'm not sure that's gonna cut it in terms of, meeting code requirements. So I put that at the bottom, and in terms of the priorities, the way I look at it is priority A is we absolutely must have it. Priority B is it's nice to have with available town funding, meaning we don't have to go to the voters to raise money for it, can come out of, the general maintenance fund. C would be nice to have with external funding, meaning we gotta go outside and, get a grant or, secure donations from people. So I wanted to put this framework on the table because I think in terms of fleshing out the project description, in terms of what we think needs to be done, and then balancing that against what potential uses we might have for the building, and putting a place to put cost estimates in there, it's just a way to consolidate all that information in one place.
Okay.
I think this is well
I-
done, Larry.
Larry, thank you.
I like this. It's,
Yeah.
it's just about what we've been discussing for the last 4 or
I can
5
see it.
meetings.
Thank you.
And if we can put this section together for that meeting on the 16th,
I think it's the 16th of September.
that's my birthday, you know, I don't want to be screwing around.
Frank. I think that's what Cameron told me, was they were only having one meeting in September, and it was the 16th, because I think
Okay,
that's,
Oh,
yeah.
that's all right, it's all right, I
Oh,
know.
and then we have the election, I think it's in
Uh,
yeah.
So I
but-
don't know, but that's what I think Cameron told me.
But if we can, this is
I
great,
think
and
it's
you
the
know,
12th.
yeah,
Oh,
Kathy,
it's the 12th, actually.
Kathy and your crew
Cameron put it
deserve a
on
lot
there.
of credit for,
And
putting
there,
this thing together.
Yep.
And
I think
bringing
it's a
us more
start.
information.
Right, we're getting more
Exactly.
information.
And the more information, like getting underneath there with some kind of a module, and that's gonna tell us how the sills are. And that's
And
gonna be good.
the best word could come out that the sills are,
Are good.
Are
Great,
good.
yeah, they could be
which
great.
means all we gotta do is pull the floor up and
Yeah.
put LVLs, so there's good support down there.
Right.
Yeah.
And get the floor back down, and you've got that place
Open.
Is then
Yeah.
occupiable.
Yeah, okay.
Frank, this
Kathy.
is design, so that's a really important point. This template is designed so that the first step now becomes that inspection.
Yeah.
That becomes part of the project
Right,
plan.
there you go.
Kathy, were you considering keeping the main beams that are on the floor, the original ones?
if there's any left, yes, of course, you don't wanna take that out of the building.
'Cause the
That's
flow
like, that's
fill,
taking
they'll
away
have
from
to
its
take 'em out.
character.
That flow fill, you know, the way.
That would work. You-
But
they
that,
just-
they have to take out those main beams.
No,
No, if you look at the way, where was it? This kind of thing, what
I'm
we
talking
do.
about flowable fill.
the floor
Yeah,
fill will
I
go
think that's
around
what's
that.
underneath here.
You would still need, and I would like you to go get a report to tell me that you know better than the contract, a man who owns a very large concrete company, who's a good man, never said we had,
Well,
that's
I talked
part
to
of
Dave
it. We
Wally,
have,
that's
you
why.
can't, and that's why I'm saying Dave Wally might not be the best person qualified for this.
Okay.
Because
Just
you have to
mentioning
have
it.
support underneath the building.
I know that.
You can't even.
That's why I don't like that
You
idea.
have to have support of the floor. Well, that's something we can get into, but I don't know what other way to go. I really
No,
don't know
I think
other
now
way.
we have a direction, so.
So we'll find
Yeah,
out
you've given
from
us-
a, and it's
right.
clearly stated in here that we must get the validation from a structural engineer, because you don't know what you're talking about, and neither do I. I am not an engineer on this. I don't know what. And
I was just asking a question.
So, can we swing back to this document here? So that's my list of what I think needs to be addressed. What else is there that needs to be added to this?
I think the only thing that I saw, and I agree with you, is, secure the foundation, do the floor, and get ADA compliant.
Okay.
And I think ADA compliant is a lot of different issues, but I think we go for the bare minimum of, my personal, maybe you guys can correct me if you're wrong, but like the bathrooms, what else? I guess,
I think-
and we have to check if there is lead on the lower floor. If there's lead, it can get, we want to address that. I would think but I guess
But that
my
could be a
question
sheet.
is, the only thing that I remember when I went in Saturday, you guys have painted a lot inside, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would think you would.
So
yes, though.
I'm wondering if the lid paint is gone,
Has been
painted
addressed,
over so many
yeah.
times.
Well, I don't wanna lose sight of it.
That, right, no, that's
So why I
important.
put it down
The
there.
only thing that made me concerned, and it's legal what you guys did, and it is a method, is the tile in the kitchen. Did you put the tile over tile? Cause my guess is that's probably asbestos tile. anything, what, 50s and, so a hazardous waste,
It's Roger did that.
that,
so-
Yeah, that's what
that
I
is a
said, that in
key
his
for us.
report.
Yeah, any
But-
vinyl tiling
I-
from the sixties is made with asbestos.
right, now, I know
Kathy,
that,
I'll get you an answer. I
because
can't.
if you're covering up the old tile, that is a solution on how they cover up that, you know, that, but we have, that is a concern.
I would say no, because that's when we put in the handicap bathroom, the one in the center. So that would have been a new wall. So I'm gonna
See,
say,
I have a theory, and I am only my opinion, not mine, but I figured a lot of the renovation work that was done on the building through the years, people probably didn't even follow
Code or.
the code of,
No.
you know, like things were ripped out and, you know, the
Band-Aids.
things.
Yeah, boom, boom.
So we might not have as much hazardous waste as we think, but it is something that needs to be addressed.
okay, we can find out. I can find out for you.
I mean, I think, because those are the general, those are the general health and well-being of the public.
Yeah.
So we can't have people coming in to, areas that are full of hazardous materials and stuff like that. So so I think that's a high priority to have that all looked at.
The building inspector is the health officer, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Then when we have them down here, or
Oh,
get them
yeah.
over there,
Yeah.
we'll ask them to look at the bathroom. You know, especially the handicap bathroom. You know, what do we have to do to make that legal? And
Well, I'm not so worried about the handicap bathroom if it's new. I'm more worried about the kitchen, because the kitchen tile is your square. That was the only area I was concerned of, that there could be tile, you just tiled over tile.
okay, I will get
That
that
would
answer
be
for you.
fairly easy to check. If you get one of those hollow boring tube things and just cut through and see if there's 2 layers or 3. You just
Right.
pull out a small plug about 1/8 of an inch in diameter.
And that
You
would be,
can always fill the hole
right,
with a bit of caulk.
right, but
That's a good idea.
that was the only thing that I could see on that first floor
That you.
that I was concerned of, that probably is either you guys ripped everything out and it's just straight tiles from the 80s and nobody's gonna care, you know? Because the entranceway, I don't think is an issue, because that's like all terracotta or, you know what I mean? Those little, whatever they are, those little squares, subway squares or whatever. So, I mean, I don't think that one would be, but the kitchen was the only area that I could see in walking through the building on that first floor that I was concerned. That could be anything hazardous down there, because the ceiling looks to me like it's just plaster.
It's a drop ceiling.
Oh, it's drop ceiling, so
Yeah.
it's not even a real plaster ceiling anymore.
No.
Did you go, I guess
Okay.
my next question is, only because I've lived it, did you put the drop ceiling down and leave the original plaster above it, and nobody ever took the plaster out? That is a question. I mean, it's not gonna harm us, because it's up there, but that, I would say, would definitely have lead paint on it.
I don't know if there's a ceiling up there or if that's the floor. When we put that,
There'd still be a
I've
ceiling.
been in there for 26 years, you think I'd know, wouldn't you?
No.
So I mean, those are the little things that I agreed with
Yeah.
Larry for public health,
You
that we
could
need to
probably
just check
determine
that.
that by going
Let's see
into
thing.
the top and looking down.
Right.
Again,
So
some kind
so
of,
I
find
think,
a crack or a bore and see what's there.
I think that getting the interior ADA compliant, which is the bathrooms, the kitchen, I agree with 100%, we can
And that
push.
should be fairly easy, the kitchen, I think.
Right, but that can go in the second
Exactly,
phase.
absolutely. Even the bathrooms, like we have the handicap, is it necessary for the bathrooms to be in the first phase?
Well, the way
yeah,
I would approach this is, the question is, what do we need to do in order to be compliant so that we can open the school?
Starting from the
What is the bare
beginning.
minimum that we
Yeah.
can do?
If you're
And-
going to open the building, you have to make it ADA acceptable.
Yeah.
All right.
And so.
And the bathrooms
If
are really
it
key.
means, if the, a win would be that the the existing bathrooms can be easily modified. you
That's
know,
what I'm
without
hoping
spending-
for,
I
yeah,
mean, that's my
yeah,
attitude going in.
Instead of, yeah, that's
And
what
if-
I'm
And
hoping
if
for
the
with
kitchen
it,
is
Larry, right.
problematic and we don't wanna do anything, we
Right.
can seal it
Yeah.
off.
Right.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just not
that's the
make-
key, to see if we can work with what
Right.
we have for the time to get the door open.
Yeah,
And
I think- I think by
agree
law-
with, and we rope off the stairway and the second
Exactly,
floor,
yeah,
so
Yeah.
nobody can go up there.
right,
And we're really looking at the bare minimum is making sure the structure can
yeah,
survive and is in good shape, repairing the floor,
right,
and becoming ADA compliant in the first phase.
right,
The second phase then can get in, which will move on, we will move on with the new makeup of whoever is sitting around the table. But, you know, the first phase is, let's get 90 people back, 99 people
Exactly.
back in that
Right.
building.
I'm so sorry.
Let's get craft fairs back in that building. You know, let's get barbecues or dinners or events back in that building.
I didn't look at any of the infrastructure, you know, one thing I'm not ignoring, but I don't know that we need to do anything about it right now, is the fire system.
You know, I was looking at the pictures, Larry. It looks like you guys have some kind of enunciation system in there now.
We have fire protection in that building right now.
We have a,
So we might be able to like push that off too.
Well, that was my thinking, but
Yeah, we have, in fact, I can show it to you. And the other thing is, the handicap bathroom right there in the middle, we can make that a men and women's room, because that's where everything is going.
And we could do that in all the other bathrooms too, is make them, what do they call, co-mingle bathrooms or
Yeah,
unisex bath?
I don't think you,
Co-mingle?
in the men's room, I don't think you're gonna get, that's gonna have to stay a men's room, I think.
how do you explain the urinal?
Well, if we're remodeling, we take it out,
The,
you know?
we had a fire protection alarm system wired in directly to the fire department.
So you do have some, and I saw in the report too, there was a drop box, like pull
Yeah,
in case
yeah,
of
so
fire.
if that meets code,
I'm sure it doesn't meet code, but we probably could have it assessed to see if it's enough.
Well, we never had a sprinkler system.
Right,
And
Yeah.
we were always,
like if it's good enough to open the building back up without any,
well, that'll be, you know.
that will be the fire department's decision if we can get
Well-
away with what's existing to open the building up, or do we have to put some money into it to enhance it? That would be a,
over the years.
I'll go over and
the-
talk to the fire chief.
Over the years, the fire
Bo's
department
all
would
right.
come down and inspect the building, usually once a year.
okay, so you were getting yearly inspections and they were.
Yes,
Okay, so maybe we are good then with the fire.
Yeah,
Can I ask, what was the limit for the Lions for, public, events?
130.
130 on the main floor. And that's with tables and chairs. No, that was alone. With tables and chairs, I think it would drop down there. It's on the board anyway, we can give it
And
to you.
if you look in the last minutes, I think, is it Brian, the fire marshal?
Yes, yeah.
Brian gave an assessment of what we
Yes,
would
he
have to
did,
do
you're
to
right,
be able
yeah.
to have 135 people,
Yeah.
what we would have to do to have 99 people.
Right.
That was
And
Bri-
we would be okay without sprinklers with 99 people.
that was Brian Jones.
So if we keep that in mind, we can get that place opened, I think we can get it open pretty
Yeah.
reasonably.
I think limiting it to 99, I mean, the numbers I pulled up from, I forget the organization, American Fire,
NFPA.
something
I think.
recommendation said that for that square footage, you shouldn't be exceeding 130, provided there were never any tables or chairs, it was just people standing.
If
Yeah.
you look at the minutes from last meeting, I think his assessment's in there with numbers and everything and reasoning.
Yeah.
So, but, Okay,
The only
so,
other thing I think that I mentioned here, something Dave Wally raised, was that if we're gonna put flow fill in underneath, we better make sure before you do that, if you're going to need things like plumbing or piping beforehand.
yes, there will
and
have to be
If that
some
comes in, then that
drainage.
really becomes an essential, even if we don't need it for the phase one.
Right.
Right, and I don't think we're just gonna open up the floor and pour flow filling or whatever it is. There is a method to everybody's madness to preserve this building as best we can. So there were
Yeah.
ideas and quite a few of them.
If you go underneath that building, where they have the opening, you can pretty much crawl around in there without much of a problem.
In the beginning part, but once you get
That's
in,
what, you didn't let me finish, Kathy.
you were pretty good under the porch in the front, up to about to the kitchen.
Under the porch and to about the kitchen is, you've got a good,
Yeah,
You
you
can
can get
bend
in
over
there,
and
but
get around.
after that,
after that, you're looking at spaces like
like
this.
that,
A
right.
foot and a half, and I think we're gonna have to have some of that dragged down, just.
And it could be possible once we open the floor, you never know, or.
That's what I mean,
There's
if
a
we
lot
have
of
some of
thi-
that dragged down, where we can at least get into there.
The thing the point that I'm trying to make with all of this is, Dave Wally can say something, but I don't think he can stamp plans. I don't think Dave Wally can say something, but I don't necessarily think he is, gonna come up with the solution of all solutions, whereas these people get paid to do this. They can figure it out. And that's why, that is the only reason why I have continued to stress that I don't think, that's why we've gotta go with someone that knows,
Someone that knows
knows
what they're
what they're
doing.
doing.
That's exactly right, exactly.
Because Dave Wally's fear might be completely non-existent because these engineers know what they're doing. They do it all the time. So that's why, and we're just going off on tangents. And part of this is a fact-finding mission, and I think we're all doing that. And I think we're moving in the absolute right direction, because in 31 days, no, actually less than that, because I got the date wrong. It's actually September 12th that we go in front, it's on here. So in less than 30 days, we have to come in with a plan. And we've only got one meeting in between there. So do we want to schedule another meeting?
I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with scheduling a weekly meeting to get this thing done.
Okay, so do we wanna go to so do we wanna go to a meeting next week, next Thursday, or is that gonna conflict with stuff?
I think that,
I don't have my calendar in front of me, so somebody's
That's
gonna
the
have to help me with
22nd.
dates.
one of the things that I think will be critical is to get Derek back in the loop.
Absolutely, yeah.
So why don't we plan a meeting for the 22nd? Is everybody good for Thursday,
Probably, 22nd, yeah,
August
next week.
22nd?
Is there any chance
I
of making,
can't.
I'm iffy on the 22nd too. You are
I
in
think it's
also?
a demo, maybe a demo till I have something on it.
Would Wednesday work for next week?
Well, I think, yeah, because
Is that a
if
bad
there's
day for
room,
you?
It looks like it might
It-
be.
John, is Wednesday okay for you, the 21st?
Yeah, I'm good. Yep.
23rd?
Could we do that?
Yeah.
Is that good for you, Ann?
Wednesday,
The
August
21st?
first.
Of August. And then,
Think?
I'll double check my schedule.
well, and then the 29th,
And then the 29th.
You can't do the
and then
21st
we
either?
got
That's fine.
next week to get Derek up to speed.
But I just wish people would look at the
Yeah.
So the,
pictures.
Right.
And
Wednesday
and
would be the
plan,
21st.
The large plan, so they can see.
Yeah, so we're talking
exactly where
August
everything is.
21st Wednesday,
I think
Yes.
there's
and
gonna
then
be
there's the
time
one on the
that they do.
Thursday on the
I really
29th,
think there is.
Right.
which was
you
already
want- can you make the
scheduled
22nd?
effectively.
Okay, so Wednesday is the 21st, not the 23rd.
From the minutes.
21st.
That won't be 100%.
When is Labor Day?
That shouldn't
The
have been on
second?
it. No, that shouldn't have
There
been.
Oh,
on
the
it.
29th will be a Thursday, so we won't be colliding with the weekend.
Right.
to set up the.
That's right, and then, what's the one in September?
The September
That'll-
12th
that'll
was
be
the
out.
town
I'll
council
make sure.
meeting, do we wanna
I'll
try
talk
to
to cable,
put a meeting
but
in
I don't,
between that?
shouldn't be.
I think we should put it on the calendar,
Okay,
I think so.
so what, September would be 11th, 10th, 8th? What does September 8th look like for people?
September 8th,
No,
the
8th is
election is
Sunday.
the 10th, right,
8th
so
is
that would be the
Sunday.
Sunday.
7,
So-
6, the 5th of September, it would
That's,
be
yeah, once the election week hits, I'll be,
What's the day of the week?
Thursday.
Thursday, September
Thursday,
5th.
September 5th.
Is that correct? Does anyone have a calendar to verify
yeah,
that?
on the phone, September 5th, you wanna
Yeah,
check?
it is.
Well, all right, if we're gonna meet on the 21st, we're gonna meet on the 25th again,
No, we're gonna meet on the 21st of August,
yeah?
the 29th, the 5th, and then we'll go in front of the council on the 12th.
They're meeting on a,
Okay.
they're meeting on a
21st,
Thursday night.
27th, and
Is
then
the
the
12th a
council
Thursday
meeting.
night?
29th.
Did that, not they usually meet on Mondays, or?
Yeah, it is the 16th, so I was right. Okay, it is the 16th,
What, the town council meeting?
yes. But we would have another meeting on the 12th.
That's why.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why it's here.
That's why I was confused.
Okay, me too.
Okay,
So do we wanna
The
do the
She said
21st,
12th.
and
the
the
29th, the 5th, and the 12th?
Kath, would you repeat, I'm sorry, but would you repeat them one more time, I just, so we,
Okay,
cause I,
so
yeah.
here's,
Yeah,
we're
August
proposing
21st.
4 more meetings.
Okay,
We're gonna do August 21st, which is a
Wednesday, yeah,
Thursday, September 5th.
September 5th,
So
Is
what-
what-
I mean,
day of
oh,
the
I'm
week?
sorry, I skipped.
August 29th.
Wednesday, here we go again. Wednesday, August 21st.
yeah,
Thursday, August 29th. Thursday,
Yes.
September 5th. And Thursday, September 16th. Or,
12th.
no, 12th. And then the
12th.
town council meeting is the 16th, that
No.
Monday.
16th
Our
meeting.
We're looking
the
at
town
1, 2.
council
So
will
we would-
be,
Have 4 meetings in.
We're looking
we
at
need
4
the-
more
we need
meetings
enough-
before the council.
Yeah.
we need enough people here for a
my-
quorum, I'm sorry, yeah,
ahead.
we just
my
need to make
question
sure.
about the report to council, is that purely a verbal show up and answer questions and talk?
No,
Or
it's
do we
small
need a
present-
written document?
We have to have a written document.
document.
Right. If we
And
need a
as-
written document, we
yeah.
probably should be drafting that by the 5th of September.
Okay, and there's only 2 people, we're welcome to come and sit in the audience, but Larry and Derek are giving the presentation to the town council
Kath,
on the 12th.
yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to go,
By
but do
what
you wanna
time
do
is
the
it?
minutes, it's after 7:30.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez,
so
do you guys, do we have any
unfortunately,
more? or
but you
we
do
wanna
need a
move on?
quorum for the minutes, I think, don't feel you
Yeah.
have to end from, but I think I need to be here for the minutes.
Let's approve, I think we're good, we got.
I have one other item, but let's approve the minutes.
Just so that I don't, so you can still
Okay,
do
so
that.
can I have a motion? The only change, John, was the date that
Yeah.
I had, that our meeting is tonight, not the 18th.
I'm good.
Okay,
That's good to me.
And Larry, I will get back to you once I get in touch with
all
Derek
those
for
in
next week.
favor of
Okay.
the minutes? Okay, so the
I'm
meeting's
not gonna
approved.
disagree with them, I'm
Who,
here for it.
Okay,
Who moved for the,
Larry
Larry,
moved
and I
and
can
Sherry
second
seconded,
it.
Sherry
Thank you so
seconded.
much.
And they were all approved with, you, I don't know if you have to put this in with the date change. Okay, so you got one
So
last
the
thing?
only other item I wanted to put on the table, and we don't really need to discuss it too much, I don't think, but there was a letter to the editor in the Londonderry Times last week from a gentleman who was making a case that the meeting house, Morrison Meeting House be converted into the school administration office, which is a fine thing to suggest, and we kind of nibbled around the edges, but I just want to acknowledge that, one of our citizens wrote a letter to the editor to that effect. And
Oh, I didn't see.
my take on it is that, the SAU and the town by law are 2 separate organizations. They don't, they cooperate, but they don't have any jurisdiction per se over each other. And if the school district wants to look at this, I guess their lease is coming up and they've got to make a decision about where they move. the school district is interested in considering that building for their offices, then they
That's
should,
up to them.
it should be up to them.
Yeah.
And it's certainly, if they wanna consider it, I think it's a legitimate thing for them to consider, but, you know, if it's way outside the bounds of what we're,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And-
but I just wanted to get
Yeah.
it on record because
Ah.
I don't wanna ignore, you know, it's come up, people
A
have said, why
citizen's
not convert
idea.
it to an
Right,
SUV?
so, and we
We
just
should
want
be
to
aware of
acknowledge,
that.
Yeah.
right, we
We-
just want to acknowledge that a
Right.
citizen
Yeah,
took the time.
and it's outside the
Someone's
charter of
thinking
this.
and
Can-
trying to.
Can we,
Yeah.
can we, Jason Parent, to come to our next meeting?
You know, I think that's a great idea, but I don't think we
I
need to
don't think we
now.
have
It's outside,
tonight.
it's outside the charge of
Yeah,
our.
yeah,
group.
right.
Right,
yeah.
I think we need to
I-
focus.
I understand it's outside our charge, but if he comes in and tells us, yeah, they're giving that some thought, now our thought has to be a little bit different, doesn't it?
Yes, but I think we don't need him to come into a meeting, I think we could just have somebody call up there and get a consensus of the
Yeah,
feeling.
I
If
think
they
they
have
had
any
ideas,
interest.
I think it was an idea someone had, is that what you're saying, Larry?
Yes.
Someone presented it as
It's
a possible
a
idea.
general citizen coming up with an idea.
Yeah.
Is a difference than the district
Yeah.
coming
Well,
up with the.
Yeah, what, his call to action to us.
Oh.
it's-
That's not the only
So
time
that's-
it's been raised.
I read
think
that.
it's
So
great.
I read that.
Yeah, and his
makes
call
sense.
to action was, please
Right.
consider it, so.
Right, so
we
it
just
would be
consider it.
nice to get a
So-
consensus to see if the school is
Yeah, good
interested
point,
in
yeah.
discussing it with us. All right, so seeing no further discussion, can I get an adjournment, a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Frank makes the motion, Larry seconds. All those in
Yeah,
favor?
second here,
Aye.
all in favor, aye.
All right,